plant corn on into the end of May and the 1st of June like we have the last few years after what happened last year. We got amlatoxin, vomitoxin, you got all kinds of toxins in this corn. We're feeding more because it's very inefficient. You've got low test weights, even if it isn't toxin prone. It has a low efficiency rate of feed rate and the weight of gain, and we're hearing as much as 10 to 15% more corn being fed because of that. And so you've got that that says that maybe we're going to use more corn. We're going to have a pretty important estimate on March 10th as to what the government sees out there and what they're going to do with this number. But more importantly, it's the weather. And it almost looks like it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to be fighting this battle all the way through April and on into May. One thing that we're seeing from the respondents, from people all over the United States, our clients, is that we are going to stop planting corn May 10th this year and go to beans. We don't want to be saddled with $100 an acre drying costs again, because last year was not a profitable year for many of us. So you can lower the price of fertilizer, and you got about the same price for corn and beans, a little bit better perhaps in beans for insurance purposes that we had last year. But the bottom line was insurance didn't care about my drying costs last year, and it ran from $100 to $120 an acre. And I have corn that I will not be able to sell that I'm going to blend in the next fall. So I've got enough problems with corn now. I don't think I want to plant any more than I did unless I'm further south. And that's what we'll probably see, is that any of these acres, increase in acres will have to come Nebraska, Ohio, Indiana, that can plant longer. And certainly to the north of us, we're not going to see that happening. So pretty much this week was a rediscovery of value, so to speak, and saying, all right, what if we can only plant as much as last year? And you can look at some of the USDA numbers that came out recently, and as acres at their annual crop outlook, and they're not near as high in corn, and they're actually down in beans, which I haven't a clue where that came from, because there should be more soybeans. And so you got the makings of people thinking maybe the best we can get is 1 million or so more in corn, and then we run tight stocks, and then we get in the same position again that says, whoa, we better watch out, or if we don't get a record crop next year like we did last year, we'll have a tight stock situation, and with ethanol getting better and so forth. So there's a lot that goes into price discovery. Your technical charts will show you that, and what I plan to do this weekend is come back to this site and take a look, and there should be a note on there as to where to find. I'll update some charts and hopefully get them on there by Sunday night, and we'll have a better reading on weather, and you'll be able to look at the charts and understand better what I'm talking about, because I tell my daughter, who works for me now, and anybody else that works with me, that you take a look at a corn chart or bean chart or whatever and look at it until it speaks to you, and try to see what it's telling you. You don't have to be a wizard at it, but you can take a look at it and form some conclusions for your own. In soybeans, I think we have a problem with South America. But here again, everybody knows it. I don't think you're going to get it wet enough early enough for the market to rally, other than in sympathy with corn. So if I'm selling something and I want to hedge some corn, I'm almost prone to say, instead of selling 5,000 bushels or 25,000 bushels of corn on the Board of Trade to hedge, I might just sell a contract of beans. I think I would lose less by doing that because of the effect of the huge South American crop over our heads. And longer term, we've got more corn coming out of South America, but the United States is the provider of corn, and if we have a spring problem, then we're going to have to deal with it on the Board of Trade. These should be looked at as opportunities to begin to marketing some of this corn on a second chance after the January surprise. I doubt there's anything that we're going to see in the corn market to take us to make new highs for the year. That would mean, if we made new highs for the year in the lead contract, that would be like telling us that all the bad news you told me about all those acres that are coming because of no soft wheat and all the stocks that we found, it doesn't matter, Jerry. We need even more corn, or we're going to give you an incentive that no matter how wet it is, we want you to stay in the field, continue to plant corn on into the 15th and 20th of May in northern Illinois, which I probably will not. And as the market understands that, and we know more about farming and what we're going to do than the guys on the Board of Trade do, but they will perceive that you give Jerry a high enough price and he'll continue to plant it. If that were the case, then long term, then we need to dribble out some of that grain, because then if somebody does plant it, they'll plant it down south, they'll plant more of it, and even though I may not, other fringe areas will. So a very interesting situation in times we're in. The dollar has something to do with it, but if you'll notice recently, grains don't follow the dollar up and down like we have in the past, and I think we're starting to look more at weather, and more of these weather guys that come out and say, in fact, Drew Lerner says deja vu all over again, type thing. We're going to see a year similar to last year, and that is not exciting from a farmer's perspective if he had trouble getting his corn out. So with that, I'm heading to Palm Springs for our annual conference there, and we have speakers from Informa and from Vince Malenga is going to talk about the economy, and so next week we'll certainly be a lot smarter and have another week under our belt. And for right now, I think you give the market room. Certainly, if this is going to go higher, I would view with caution any reason or any print of any price next Friday that closes below this week's low. It means quite a bit of a move, but you almost have to give the market some room to move. So with that, have a good weekend, and we'll perhaps see you next weekend.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, a little bit longer.